All right, so I see you're calling from Iowa area code. Is that where you're from?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm from Iowa originally, but in Milwaukee now.
All right. So most people, I guess, are wrestlers from the Midwest, and you seem to have a Taekwondo background. How'd you get into the sport?
Yeah, it was kind of funny like how I got into that. I wish now I'd taken wrestling when I was younger, but I always saw the Bruce Lee movies like everyone else, and I was always fascinated with the kicks. They were the fanciest, they were the coolest things I saw. So Taekwondo was a kicking art. I got into that when I was younger, and over time I started seeing MMA on TV. I saw the UFC, the Ultimate Fighter television show. And I saw all the different stuff they were doing. And back in Iowa, all we had was really Taekwondo as far as martial arts went. So when I saw all this kickboxing and jiu-jitsu and stuff like that, I'm like, man, I gotta try that. So I ended up finding like a local MMA gym, and that's how I got into the sport.
All right. You said you were in Milwaukee. How long have you been up there with Duke Rufus and the gang?
I came to Milwaukee in 2009, summer 2009, to train for my UFC 104 fight, and I've been here ever since.
All right, how's that going for you? You think it's a good blend to stand up in the rest of MMA?
Yeah, it was. But actually, right now, I'm no longer at Duke's place. I haven't been there for quite some time. I train now at Red Schaefer Mixed Martial Arts. Red is, used to be one of the guys at Duke's gym, and he branched off, started his own place, and I went with him and everything. And yeah, that's definitely a good fit for me. It's really helped my grappling, and there's good kickboxing there as well.
All right, fair enough. You mentioned your UFC career. You went 0-2 back in 2008, 2009 after coming in on short notice. Do you feel like you got a fair shake in the UFC?
That's a good question. I mean, would I have liked another opportunity? Sure, just because some people, obviously sometimes can go 0-3. Before they get cut and everything, but I understood the nature of the sport that, sometimes if you do go into the UFC that, it's cut time, so, I take it as it is.
Yeah, when you left, did they give you any indication about what you had to do to get back?
My manager at the time told me that, that the UFC matchmaker, Joe Silva, he said that, he saw good potential in me. He just wanted me to, work on. He didn't say specifically what he wanted me to work on or not, but ever since then, I just had the fire to just continue going and put together a good win streak, and hopefully this next win here will put me over the top.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, you had a good streak going. You had 4 straight wins, and then you had the fight against Dwayne Lewis at MFC 27, and it seemed like to pretty much everyone that I've talked to that you did enough to win, and then the decision didn't go your way. Like, how did you feel about that?
Yeah. That was a travesty. I mean, that's one of the biggest problems in the sport these days is the judging and everything. And it seems like any MMA event you have, there's always going to be some sort of controversial call. And I happen to be the latest victim of it and everything. The on-air analysis that I won. I mean, even I talked to Dwayne afterwards. And even Dwayne said he thought I won the fight and everything. So, I don't know what the judges were watching and everything, but yeah, it was ridiculous.
Yeah,
so I was gonna say that. So that one I really don't even consider a loss, even though technically it is. But that one I don't consider a loss, just because I feel I definitely won that fight. So.
Yeah, I mean, talk a little bit about that feeling of having your opponent even think you win, because I don't really think that's something that the average fan can even understand how that feels.
Yeah, it's like someone stole something from you and you can't do anything about it and everything. And the thing is, I knew okay, after the fight and everything, I was pretty confident, I won this fight and everything. I won at least 2 rounds to 1 and everything, unanimous decision for me. But then the judges were taking so long to deliberate and everything. I'm like, what's going on here? Why are they taking so long? You should be pretty clear-cut who won the fight and everything. And then they started calling out the scores, okay, 29-28. I'm like, oh, my God, are you kidding me? And I swear to God, I knew right then and there when they started calling out the scores, I'm like, all right, I'm going to get screwed over in this decision. And sure enough, I was. I mean, it really... To me, I wasn't even angry. I was just I was almost numb. I was almost numb at that moment, just like, wow, really? I'm completely numb at that moment when it happened. So, yeah.
And then you were scheduled to return to the MFC earlier this year against Randy Wallace. Did you get injured, or did he get injured? Like, what happened there with that fight?
I got injured originally, and so I pulled out the fight. I had a recurring injury happen in my chest. I pulled a muscle, so I pulled out of the fight, and then I guess he ended up getting injured too, but I guess he ended up fighting anyway, and he ended up losing his fight. But yeah.
So are you still under contract with them up north, or?
No, I'm done with them.
Okay, that's fair enough. So how did this fight with Houston come about?
What happened was it was kind of interesting. I heard earlier this summer that there may be like a local MMA show out in Illinois, and that they're looking for an opponent for Houston. And one of my buddies told me about it. So I went to my manager, Brian Butler. I'm like, hey, Brian, I heard that Houston Alexander needs an opponent for an August show in Illinois. I think that'd be a real great matchup for me. I feel like I can really take him and everything. I think stylistically, whatever. And Brian started shooting around for that. He's able to get me the fight. So then I'm like, all right, August 13th, me and Houston, Rockford, Illinois. That's what I thought. Then Brian tells me that, hey, guess what? Something weird happened. Houston never signed the contract for the Rockford show. Instead, he signed a contract for an Albuquerque show on the same date and everything. So I'm going to go ahead and have you do is we're going to go ahead and that contract with the Rockford show is null and void since Houston didn't sign it and that was the opponent you're supposed to face. And we'll go ahead and just get you signed over for the Albuquerque show. And that's basically how it happened. So.
Well, it worked out well. You mentioned that it was a fight that you really wanted because you thought there was some things, maybe some holes or something you could go after. What do you see in his game that gives you a chance?
Oh, I think Houston, he's definitely an explosive, athletic guy. Definitely got the punching power, good in the clinch and everything. I feel though that I'm a more versatile striker. I feel I can do a lot more in the feet than he can and everything. I feel on the ground, I definitely, I'm more comfortable in my ground game as far as my submissions and my jiu-jitsu goes, and I just feel really comfortable no matter where the fight goes and everything. I think Houston's, I don't know him personally and everything, but I think right now, Houston's kind of in the twilight of his career right now. He's 39, and he's just trying to go for one more big run in the UFC, and I'm just obviously not going to allow it to happen because I also have my own, goals of getting back there as well. So, not that I'm underestimating him by any means, but I definitely feel like he's definitely an unbeatable opponent.
Do you feel that coming from a striking background that you have a higher technical acumen on the feet than most MMA guys?
I would say so. I would say so. I definitely feel like as far as most guys in MMA who start off in MMA, they have the Muay Thai, the kickboxing background. I started off in Taekwondo and everything. That's obviously lots of versatile kicks, and then I transitioned over to the Muay Thai. So I know how to do my Taekwondo kicks and apply them to MMA, and I also know how to do the traditional Muay Thai kicks. So yeah, I feel like I'm a pretty technically sound person on the feet and everything, and I think that's the way a fight should look and everything. I think when you really start getting your skill set down, start really mastering the skill set, it's really a beautiful thing to watch. When you see technical moves being done, whether you're on the feet or whether you're on the ground, and so that's what I definitely try to bring to my fights every time I'm out there.
Yeah, it's interesting we talk about how you're advanced and skilled as a striker, and yet you probably still have more game on the ground than Houston Alexander in this fight. Do you think that that's somewhere you will have a big advantage too?
Yeah, I definitely feel. There's some people. There's some people that when they get to the ground, that they're like, all right, I don't want to be in this position. I don't want to be in that position. I just want to stick to this position. And I feel like Houston's the kind of ground guy that he wants to land. He wants to stay on top of you and everything, and try to give you some GMP, to force you to tap out, ref stoppage, whatever. Or if Houston's the guy at the bottom, he'll try to explode quickly, or he'll try to hold you until the ref stands up and everything. Me, on the other hand, since I'm so used to the grappling and everything with guys like Red Schaefer, I'm used to sweeps. I'm used to going to submissions from the bottom. On top, I'll go for submissions. I'll go for GMP as well. So where he has maybe 1, 2, 3 things he'll go for on the ground, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 different things I'll go for on the ground. So yeah, it definitely opens up the game a lot more for me than it does for him.
All right, well, yeah, I want to wish you luck against Houston Alexander coming up and getting back in the UFC. Is there anyone you want to thank or shout out before we close it up? Just want to thank you for the time, and definitely want to give a shout out to Red Schaefer, Mixed Martial Arts, that's where I train, and Suppress Fightwear, suppressfightwear.com. All right, thanks a lot, man. Good luck this weekend, or next weekend.
Hey, thanks a lot, brother. Appreciate it.
Bye. Well, that closes the book on another exciting episode of the MMA Outsider Podcast. We broke down UFC 133 and then interviewed Jens Pulver and Razak Al-Hassan. Both fighters will be fighting August 13th on the MMA Fight Pit debut show, which will be available on pay-per-view. Check us out next week for more MMA Outsider action. To get in touch with the show, you can check us out at MMA Outsider Podcast at gmail.com or twitter.com/MMA Outsider.